evening, everyone. It's Melanie, also known as That Lady in the Yellow Jacket. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have another great show. I have another hidden gem in New England. His name is Partick Gabridge. He's a novelist, he's an actor, he's a playwright, and he's just done so many things. As a matter of fact, he always wants to start new things. So, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about Partick, what he's doing, what he's up to. He's got some great plays coming up and some great plays that he's done in the past. Patrick, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Now, as I said in the introduction, you're Partick Gabridge.
Yep.
You write plays.
I do.
You act.
I don't act a lot anymore.
But you know how to act. You have acted. Okay, you have acted. You write books. You're always starting new things. Talk about your where you're working, Plays in Place.
Right. So Plays in Place is the big thing that I'm working on right now. And actually, it's a theater company that I started. Our first production was in 2018. So we've been doing this a little while. This is our 7th year now. And Plays in Place is a theater company that creates new site-specific plays in partnership with museums, historic sites, and other cultural institutions. So when we make a new play, and we make them from the ground up, we're really focusing on a particular place and the story associated with that place, and usually in partnership with some sort of institutional space. So like Old North Church is an example, or Mount Auburn Cemetery. There are a few exceptions, and that's the play that you saw, the Kitty Knox plays, which was a partnership with Mass Bike. So they're a cultural institution in a way, a biking institution.
Okay, so for our viewers out there who may not know who Kitty Knox is,
Right.
Let's talk about Kitty Knox and who exactly.
Sure. So Kitty Knox is a woman who was a young cyclist during the cycling craze of the 1890s. In the 1890s, cycling was huge. It was the biggest sport in America by far. Baseball had only just begun. Football hadn't started yet. We think of kind of old bikes as kind of that big one wheel penny farthing bike, with the big one wheel and the small second wheel. But by the 1890s, the safety bike had been invented. So that's the bikes that with a regular chain drive, 2 bikes the same size. And so it became a lot easier for people to ride, and the cost was pretty accessible. So it kind of exploded. And also keep in mind, there weren't cars on the road. There were horses and carts, but we weren't competing with cars. And it was a huge mobility gateway for women, especially, because it was affordable, but it gave them a lot of freedom to go out where they didn't have to hire a coachman or manage a horse. And so for people, men and women, it was suddenly this new mode of getting around that was this big thing that wasn't just a sport in terms of competitive sport. It was a way to get exercise, to get fresh air.
So how did Kitty Knox fit into all of this?
So Kitty was a young cyclist and started riding at an early age. She was a seamstress. She was biracial, so her mother was a white woman from Maine, a mill worker. Her father was a black carpenter, I believe, from Philadelphia, and they met in Boston. And then had 2 children, so she had a brother as well. And so she was born in Cambridge, and then ultimately later on her parents split up, and she moved to the West End in Boston. And so, but she was working as a seamstress, sewing to earn money to ride her bike. She was an early joined the League of American Wheelmen very early on and was cycling. And women weren't allowed to race, but she was cycling in meets and gatherings with people. It was a very social sport.
How was she treated as a biracial, or pretty much, even though she was biracial,
Right,
she's
a
considered
black biracial woman, right?
Exactly, she was considered black.
Right. Well, that is true, though. I think she was very.
How was she treated?
I think she was treated often very badly, depending on in what circumstances. Right. So I think she was riding in New England. She was riding on Martha's Vineyard, and there were black cycling clubs too, and she was very much a part of those. But she was riding with mixed race groups as well. And New England was much more accepting, though not 100% accepting by any means, of black people cycling. And there are people certainly expected to stay in their lanes. But as she gained more notoriety, she was treated with much more pressure and not always welcomed, for sure. Partly because she was a black woman riding, partly because she was a woman riding, because she liked to ride fast, because she preferred to wear bloomers. So she was an advocate of women riding more suitable clothes for riding than a long skirt. So
she was breaking the rules.
She was breaking all kinds of rules. She was very much a barrier breaker. And so my company, Plays in Place, heard about Kitty Knox through this cycling historian, Larry Finnison, who came to us and said, "Hey, I have this idea for a play I think you should do." And people come to us all the time with ideas, and usually the answer is, no, we're not really interested in that.
Okay.
But the story of Kitty Knox is really compelling. He's written a book about her and the cycling craze and sports and cycling. And so we decided she's really got a great story. Let's see if we can turn it into a series of plays. And I was eager to do a set of bicycle plays, to use bikes in plays. And so her and her friends were really working it and making a way for themselves, a place for themselves.
So let's do this. Let me share Larry's book with the viewers. If you want to learn about bicycling here in Boston in the late 1800s, it's Lorenz Finnison who wrote a book, fantastic book. If you're not into cycling, if you love history, if you don't love history, it's still a great book. You would not believe how big cycling was back in the Boston area in the late 1800s, where Patrick is talking Kitty Knox racing, black cycling clubs, and cycling overall. I have a few pictures from the play.
So we produced these plays on 3 consecutive weekends in Cambridge, Boston, and Milton. And we had 9 actors, 9 bikes, 3 live musicians, and it was 3 one-act plays looking at different incidents and episodes in her life. The first play was written by Kirsten Greenidge, who's a well-known black playwright from Boston. And her play was looking at 1893 and when she was cycling with her friends on Martha's Vineyard. It was a big place to be riding back then. And also looking at the pressures on black folks and black riders in the area at that time.
All right, we're cycling through the pictures here. Maybe
That's
you
right.
can talk about them.
So this picture is actually from towards the end of the play, where Kitty Knox is at dressed up for a cycling ball, and she has received rather poor treatment from some of the white members of this. It turned out the ball she's attended is all white, even though she was invited to attend, and is wishing that her friends were there with her to support her. This is the end of the play where everyone's taking their bows. It was great. So these plays were done outdoors. We had 9 actors and 9 bikes. And the audience would be seated, but then would move from play 1 to play 2 to play 3.
That's right, because we were moving from various places within the park for each scene.
Exactly, and that allows us to
play.
shift in time. So the first one is Kirsten's play, set in 1893. Then my play is really looking at this national meet in Asbury Park, New Jersey in 1895 of the League of American Wheelmen. And the league had been pushed by Southern clubs to establish a color bar, preventing black cyclists from joining. Here's someone who was the character this Tom Barry is playing here is Abbott Bassett, who actually is a character from Massachusetts who was against the color bar. He and the Massachusetts clubs protested against the institution of putting in a color bar, but the Southern clubs prevailed, and Kitty was the only person of color to ride that we know of at this big national meet of thousands of cyclists in Asbury Park. And there's a big dispute over, how did she get her badge to ride? Did she get her badge to ride? It's our belief that she did. And what's interesting is cycling was so big at that time that there were many cycling reporters. And this is a scene from this meet in Asbury Park. Every paper had a cycling column or 2. And so at this meet, there were dozens of reporters from across the country reporting on it. And the reporting of Kitty Knox was widespread. Almost no other woman is mentioned by name in any of the reporting from the national meet in all these papers. She's mentioned for riding, for dancing, for causing a commotion, but they all report on it differently. It's hard to get the exact story. So we have kind of an imagined version of this in the second play of what would have been like when she went there to register and what happens. So we'll want people to read or see the plays someday to work it all out for themselves. And then in the third play, we're looking at a ball a year later in 1896 where politically in America things are becoming even more dangerous for black people. The Plessy versus Ferguson ruling is about to establish legal segregation in America, and so she attends this ball and is treated very unfairly.
Okay, and then what are we looking at here?
This is a scene at Cambridge Crossing. This is an imagined version of Kitty trying to sign up to ride at the League of American Wheelmen's meet in 1895. And she's being discouraged from doing so by a Kentucky rider who from the Kentucky clubs is saying, black people should not be allowed to be there. And this is kind of the same thing where Kitty's insisting to the desk worker that she should be allowed to ride.
Okay.
And this is from the ball, where she is talking, in this case, to a cyclist named Fred St. Onge, who was a trick rider and a vaudevillian performer.
What's a trick rider? For those who may not know.
He could do tricks on his bikes. He could do wheelies and stand on his bike and do all kinds of things. And it's our belief that Kitty probably was a trick rider at some way. She may have performed in vaudeville shows later in life. There's some chance she could have traveled abroad. The sad thing about Kitty's story is that she lived only a very short life. She died at age 26 of kidney disease at Mass General Hospital, and is buried at Mount Auburn Cemetery. That grave was lost for many years until Larry Fennison helped find that grave, and with the help of the white side of her family, which Larry was able to reach out to and find, some of her relatives were able to contribute to put a grave marker up for her at Mount Auburn Cemetery.
I was there for that ceremony, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, I was there for that ceremony.
Yeah, her family has been very supportive,
Right.
And really wants to preserve her legacy, and is very proud of her.
Right. So, folks, if you're just joining us, I'm Melanie, also known as that lady in the yellow jacket, and my guest today is Partick Gabridge. He does everything. He writes books, he writes plays, but he's doing something really important with bringing history to life in plays today. And he founded his company Plays in Place in 2018. So, you know what? If somebody has an idea out there for a play, or there's do you want to focus on historical facts, and bring those to life? We
generally are working with a partner organization, so people don't come to us with plays at all. And they shouldn't come to us with ideas for their plays, probably. We instead are working with a museum or historic site generally. This project was a little different, where we're going to be talking to, say, Historic Deerfield or Historic Northampton or any number of organizations, and we're going to figure out what's the play that works best at their site, and then start constructing that out. We're going to do research. We're going to write the plays. We're going to commission the plays. We are working with a very diverse group of, I think, 8 to 10 playwrights right now on many different plays. And then we ultimately produce these plays at these sites.
Okay, so if you have a play idea, do not contact Patrick. Contact your local historical site. There's always a way.
Contact your local theater. Or come see our shows.
Yes.
Come see one of our shows and start talking to me.
How can they find out about your shows?
If they go to playsinplace.com, all one word, there's a place to sign up for our mailing list. And it's really, if you want to know about our work, that's the best place. We don't send out a lot of emails, but our shows tend to be very popular and often short runs. Like the Kitty Knox plays that you saw, we only seated 60 people per performance, and we did 9 performances, and that was it. There's a chance some of those may come back. We're actually going to publish a book of
That's what I want to talk about.
Yes, so we're going to publish a book of the play scripts along with these gorgeous production photos that we have. Ben Rose, our photographer, did a fabulous job. But we're also going to have essays from a lot of the participants. So the playwrights will write essays, the director, the producer, maybe some of the actors are going to contribute that. And we'll also have a historical chapter from Larry Fennison. We're going to have character historical bios and also some tips for companies or groups that want to do it. So we're hoping this will go out to theater clubs and bike clubs across the country, and that they will collaborate and do these, and schools to do these and spread the word about this young barrier breaker who is really important in, I think, providing an example of courage and a willingness to just really not take no for an answer when it comes to the freedom to pursue her life the way she wanted to.
So this sounds like a great idea for maybe even like high school theater companies.
Absolutely, I definitely think so, because it's a pretty good sized cast, and you can actually, we use 9 actors, but you could actually use more. So I think that has appeal. It could be done inside for sure, though it's a lot more fun outside. So you get a bunch of young actors together on bikes. I think it's very doable for a school group, and it's a good way for the students who are involved to learn information about America in the 1890s, which is a period that we don't spend a lot of time thinking about, but has a lot of relevance to where we're at right now with constrictions of people's rights, and people trying to push against restraints on what they can do. So I think it's a good thing to bring into schools for people just to learn about history in a fun way, and also to just have fun doing the play.
So how can people, let's say if there's a history teacher or a theater teacher in a high school, when the book is out, how can they get the book? Can they go to your website?
They can go to our website. If they go to playsandplace.com, I think there's a project page there for the Kitty Knox Plays, and that's a place to go. We're actually raising money for that book right now through Mass Bike, but there's a link to that from our webpage. So I think that's a really great way to find out more about what we do, more about that particular project, and then people can look at all the projects we've done. We've done many projects, and that's why I say people get on our mailing list. We have plays all over the place coming up.
So folks, again, if you're just joining us, I'm Melanie, the lady in the yellow jacket, and I'm here with Patrick Gabridge. And especially if you're an educator, if you're in high school, a principal, teacher, however, make sure your theater teacher knows about playsandplace.com. You can go visit their website, and this is a great opportunity for our young people to be a part of something big, important, be a part of something historical. So I know you've also finished 4 plays that you're working on for next year. You're in the process.
Yes, we have 4.
Let's talk about those in the last few minutes that we have.
Okay. Well, actually, I want to talk about a play that opens just this week.
Oh, that's right.
Because we have a play that opens this coming Wednesday at the Boston Public Library called A Revelation of Character. And it's just 3 performances, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The ones on Wednesday and Thursday are at 6 o'clock. The one on Saturday is 2 o'clock. It's at the Copley Square, the Central Branch in Copley Square. And this play is a 3-person play that's done as a concert reading. So actors are costumed, but they're at music stands.
What's the play about?
The play is about Lydia Mariah Child and Mariah Weston Chapman, 2 important abolitionists, white female abolitionists in the 1830s, who were leaders in the Boston Female Anti-Slavery Society. And it's about their kind of difficult friendship turned into frenemies for a little while, and towards the end of their friendship. But it's an example of how social justice movements, and that is true, has been true for generations and centuries to go in the past, and it will be for the future, I'm sure, are impacted by the human nature of the people who are leading them. And so there's a lot of things that these women are able to do, and then they also are part of the fracturing of this movement through infighting that happens in the 1840s. And so it's just a way to look at people who are sometimes we can regard as heroes, which I think they are, but they're also very human, and they suffer very human setbacks and pain and loss, and sometimes they're mean to each other. But that doesn't mean that they didn't have courage to do what was important to do. And it doesn't mean they did what they needed to do every second, but they sure sacrificed everything to do it.
And these plays are free, right?
These plays are free at Boston Public Library. They're just an hour long, but it's a great look into the female abolition movement and some of the tensions that happen to people when they're within a movement. I think it's a useful look.
Now I'm just curious, how did you find this topic? Did somebody or some historical organization bring this to you? Or is this your own research?
Well, I did the research. The contact I have at Boston Public Library reached out to me for this series. This series is for the Pierce Performance Series, which is a series produced by the associates of the Boston Public Library. And it's to use materials associated with their special collections. And so Boston Public Library has an amazing anti-slavery collection. And so they came to me and said, hey, would you be interested? They knew the kind of work that I do. Would you be interested in making something that would use our special collections? And I had just done a play that in which these two characters were part of 5 women in this play we did for the National Park Service called The Light Under the Dome, that was really looking at Angelina Grimke and then 4 other abolitionists in Grimke's 1838 speech to the legislature, which she gave in what is now the Senate chamber. We staged it there last year, which was just an amazing experience. But I already knew about these women, and I knew about their difficult relationships. Okay. I'd spent a lot of time researching them. And then I thought, well, I'll do this play using their letters. So it's really using their letters and writing. So the play focuses a lot on letters between abolitionists in this 1830s, 1840s.
Oh, okay. So your research using the letters and writings, and Absolutely. Then you created the play.
Yep.
Let's talk. We got 7-8 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's talk about your 4 plays, your 4 opportunities coming up for next year.
Right. So next year we have a play at Historic Deerfield, set in 1774, looking at the interpersonal family community divide that starts to erupt with the start of the Revolutionary War. So this small town of 350 people is split, and the incident that's splitting them at this moment is someone's about to put up a liberty pole, and these 2 young men cut it in half in the night before. And there's all kinds of repercussions for that, but it's also talking about people who are enslaved in that community. So that's one.
And how did this topic come up?
Historic Deerfield approached us, wanted us to do a play, and then my team spent time figuring out what should it be about. We knew we wanted it to be around the Revolution.
Okay.
Everything next year is around the Revolution.
Okay, then the next
We have
one.
a play coming up in Newport, set at the Hunter House in Newport, which is owned by the Preservation Society of Newport County, which owns some of the big mansions, the big Gilded Age mansions. But this is a colonial era mansion. This is an outdoor play, and it's looking at this small house mansion, the Hunter House, which was owned by the Wantons, who were a loyalist family, and that house, and they enslaved people in that household. And it's looking at the Wanton family and the people enslaved in it, both just as the war is starting, when they're very much aligned with the British, and then later, after the war, that house has been taken away from them. It's been confiscated by the state, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. And that house also happened to be the headquarters for the French Navy when they occupied Newport in 1780 to 81. It's kind of a really interesting thing. So there's 3 different plays there. That's another play.
Okay.
Number 2. We're doing a play at Historic Northampton, set around the Revolutionary War. One's about 2 one-act plays. One about Bathsheba Hull, who was a black woman who became free, owned a house and some property in Northampton on this little island in the Mill River, kind of where downtown is now. And powers that be in the town decided they wanted to take it from her. And it's kind of about her struggles with the town and being a black person in colonial America. And then the second play is about Joseph Hawley, who was an important politician and lawyer in the revolution, the lead up to the Revolutionary War in Western Massachusetts and beyond, all throughout Massachusetts. But he ends up making a decision not to go to the First Continental Congress because he suffers from severe depression. So he has to kind of give up his chance at glory in order to feel secure about the future of America. And the last play is at the old Newgate Prison and Copper Mine in East Granby, Connecticut, right near Bradley Airport. And it is about a 1781 prison break by Loyalist prisoners. It's going to be a very exciting play where at one point in the play, in the second act, the audience will actually go down into this mine, this old abandoned copper mine that was turned into a prison, and have kind of an audio experience as they hear the escape happening around them.
Wow.
It'll be kind of cool.
Those sound amazing.
It's going to be a busy summer. Yeah, so most of the plays are in July and August. They all have multiple week runs, so it's impossible to see everything. The one at Northampton will run in September.
All right. Well, good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
And those are also free?
No, those will all be ticketed items.
Okay, those are ticketed items.
Yep.
Okay.
But people should get their tickets early.
Right. Get your tickets early for the ones next year. But again, if you're in the Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, New England area, come out to the Boston Public Library on November 12th, 13th, and 15th.
Yep.
To see this play. So, Patrick, we just have a few minutes left. What the new play that you're doing, the one that's coming up?
Yep.
What are some key takeaways that people? Why should people come see the play? Why is it important?
Why is it important? I think it's important. Again, I think these women are really interesting, and I think the struggles they're going through are highly related to today. I think we're seeing movements pressing for social justice and liberty right this second that are going to suffer from some of the same infighting that we saw back then. I think it's just a reflection and it's just fascinating to see these abolitionists talking about ideological purity. Like everyone we want in our group should believe this one thing, or which is what Mariah Weston Chapman is espousing, and Mariah Child is saying, no, we need a much broader tent. We need more people. We need to be gentler. And I think you can see both. To be honest, both political parties have a little bit of this going on. There's no doubt the Democrats are having this conversation within their ranks right this second, and this goes all the way back to 1840.
Well, they say history repeats itself.
Absolutely, and I think if you watch the show, you're definitely going to feel it. But I also think it's always good to be reminded that, again, people that we can elevate as kind of heroes of abolition are human and suffer setbacks like all of us do. And I find that when I'm looking at history, I find that encouraging to know. When we try to unflatten history and make real human beings out of people that we just only see as kind of these wrinkled old ladies, and you see like, oh no, these were vibrant, vigorous young people, and of all ages, that were pushing to end slavery with everything they had, but they also made mistakes and they didn't know what was going to happen, and none of us know.
They didn't know what was going to happen.
No.
None of us know. Quickly, what's the play you want to do, but you haven't done it yet? No one's approached you, or look into your crystal ball. What is a play you really, really want to do? Or what's the topic? Or
there are a few plays.
30 seconds.
I would like to do a play about Harriet Hosmer and Charlotte Cushman and their time in Rome, where there was this group of white, mostly lesbian sculptors in the 1850s who were just made this amazing artwork that most people don't know about.
All right. Well, I want to see that play.
Yes.
Folks, we're out of time tonight. If you're just joining us, I'm Melanie, the lady in the yellow jacket. My guest tonight was Partick Gabridge, who's just got a phenomenal resume here in the theater. And I have my Make Art shirt on, especially for today's show. Catch me next week, same time, same place. And don't forget to make it a yellow day. Good night.